Hello everybody, David Shuster here. Donald Trump's Ukraine war ceasefire has disintegrated, and it broke apart faster than a vandalized Tesla. Can I say that? Anyway, at first, the Trump-Putin news was encouraging.
The U.S. and Russia in this phone call between Trump and Putin deciding a ceasefire, a 30-day ceasefire, will begin with energy and infrastructure.
In a statement out moments ago, the White House says, quote, the movement to peace will begin with an energy and infrastructure ceasefire.
But about 90 minutes after that Trump White House readout, headline, Putin bombs energy plants hours after telling Trump he would halt attacks. Again, the attack was launched hours after Putin had agreed to a pause in strikes on Ukraine's energy infrastructure.
Among the targets, a hospital near the city of Sumy, according to Ukrainian officials, and a railway power station, according to the company.
Residents in the capital taking shelter underground after Russia launched 147 Iranian-made drones and 6 missiles overnight. Targets in other parts of the country included a hospital and an energy grid, contrary to Putin's promises.
Ukraine's President Zelenskyy, who already accepted a U.S. proposal for a total ceasefire if Putin does the same, said this morning Putin's words are at odds with reality and that Russia is not ready to end the war.
But that is a very different message than what the Trump White House delivered hours earlier. The Trump team boasted that the call with Putin had been great and had stretched on for 2 hours. And soon after the call ended, Special Trump envoy Steve Witkoff, who had been in the Oval Office with Trump, went on Fox News' Sean Hannity and was gleeful.
So I think there have been some breakthroughs. I would commend President Putin for all he did today on that call to move his country close to a final peace deal. And I would say, and I would give all the credit to President Trump, his election, peace through strength, the perception that there are no alternatives.
Keep in mind that at the very moment Witkoff was spewing this drivel on Fox, Russian drones and missiles were already en route to targets in Ukraine. The Putin attack in Ukraine makes the Trump worshipping absurd.
The president was, I can't understate, or I can't overstate how compelling he was on this call. He's a natural-born leader, Sean, and he demonstrated that today.
I've seen him in action. I know him pretty well, Steve, like you. I've known him 30 years, and there's no other human being like him, I will say that.
Add Sean Hannity to the list of Republicans, including Steve Witkoff and President Trump, who got played. Russia's Vladimir Putin didn't even wait a day before undercutting Trump. Putin literally hung up with Donald Trump and ordered Russian forces to attack Ukrainian energy facilities, despite promising Trump that Russia would not attack such facilities. Bill Browder is a financier and expert on Russia.
Now, all this talk about having a great meeting and a great call in 1.5 hours, it doesn't change what's going on. Putin continues to launch his unprovoked war of aggression against Ukraine. And by the way, 57 minutes after Putin promised not to attack energy infrastructure, they attacked energy infrastructure in Ukraine. And so Putin can't be believed. His promises can't be trusted. And to put it quite simply, he's humiliating Trump in front of the whole world.
Of course, Donald Trump arguably humiliated himself with countless campaign promises last year about Russia and Ukraine.
I will end that war in one day. It'll take 24 hours. I know Zelenskyy well. I know Putin well.
I've said very boldly, you could end this Ukrainian-Russia war in 24 hours.
Yeah.
How?
As you know, I get along very well with Putin. I would tell Putin, gotta settle. I would tell Zelenskyy, you gotta settle. I would tell one, you're gonna load up with money. I'd tell the other, you're not gonna get any money. I would get a settlement in 24 hours.
Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after I win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. I'll get it settled very fast.
Shortly after we win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. I'll get it settled very quickly. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the disastrous war between Russia and Ukraine settled. it will be settled quickly.
So, not only did Donald Trump not settle the war after his election and before taking office, Trump did not settle the war on day one or in 24 hours. In fact, Russia's Vladimir Putin took a lot less time following the Trump phone call to break the Trump-brokered energy facility ceasefire. All of this gets even worse for Donald Trump when you consider what he and his vice president, J.D. Vance, did just a few weeks ago to Ukrainian President Zelenskyy. Remember that? At the White House Oval Office, Zelenskyy tried to explain that Russian President Putin cannot be trusted, so any deal with Putin would mean nothing without actual security guarantees, such as U.S. troops on the ground.
He broken this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this.
what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influenced.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
We are going to feel good. We are going to feel strong, said Trump. I'm fairly certain that's not how Donald Trump feels now, after being misled and humiliated by Putin just hours after their phone call. First, on the call, Putin rejected Trump's request for a total ceasefire to last 30 days, something Ukraine's Zelenskyy had agreed to. Then, Putin purportedly agreed to a 30-day cessation of attacks by both sides on power plants and energy infrastructure. The Trump White House spawned that as a big victory and a big step towards peace. And then Putin broke the deal and proved he could not be trusted, just as Zelenskyy had told Trump and Vance. Following the Russian missile and drone strike on Ukraine, President Trump spoke with Ukraine's Zelenskyy. On Truth Social, Trump wrote, "Just completed a very good telephone call with President Zelenskyy of Ukraine. It lasted approximately 1 hour. Much of the discussion was based on the call made yesterday with President Putin in order to align both Russia and Ukraine in terms of their requests and needs. We are very much on track." Very much on track to what? A ceasefire? No. Trust in Putin? Nope. Credibility of Trump? Definitely not. Countless foreign policy analysts say the only thing the Trump White House is on track to is showing the world that Donald Trump is a buffoon and a moron whose deal-making skills are a pathetic joke. By the way, Trump Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt is now getting slammed for sparking an international incident with France.
So is President Trump going to send the Statue of Liberty back to France?
Absolutely not. And my advice to that unnamed low-level French politician would be to remind them that it's only because of the United States of America that the French are not speaking German right now. So they should be very grateful to our great country.
X quickly added a community note to post about Leavitt's remarks. The community note read, "It is also thanks to the French that the U.S. is no longer a British colony. France helped make the victory of the U.S. possible. Continental soldiers used French weapons and wore French-made uniforms. And by the end of the war, they fought alongside French soldiers." The note included links to several supporting articles, including one from the Museum of the American Revolution. Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Euphoria, who wrote, "She, Leavitt, has that ultimate confidence only stupid people can have." Indeed, and that could apply to a lot of people in the Trump White House. Anyway, I look forward to reading your comments about Donald Trump's deal-making approach backfiring in his face as Russia's Putin humiliates Trump. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.